I'm Nurse Jessica Seitz, along with Nurse Erica. We're Nurses Uncorked, the podcast that takes nursing facts with nursing comedy and makes a little cocktail out of it. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Nurses Uncorked. I'm so excited today, not only because I'm with my co-host, as always, Nurse Erica. I have a friend on here, a special friend. My friend Joshua Strickland is here with us today. Boy, do we have a tale that Joshua is going to share, and it's going to bring back a lot of memories for me. I know, probably for Joshua too, for sure.
Good times.
Yes. It's a scandal that happened. Do you know it's been 4 years now, Joshua, to this month? I looked it up. It was September of 2019. So yeah, we're right at the 4-year mark, which is crazy. Time flies.
That is crazy.
Before we get into that, Erica is going to show us, talk about what we're drinking today.
Okay, I've been saying
not that we're saying you have to drink, people, right, Erica? We're not saying that. It's just part of our podcast.
I'm kind of saying that.
I like it. Yeah. Right? Yeah, okay. She is saying it.
This is one of my favorite drinks ever. It's called a Hawaiian mimosa. So it's a twist on a traditional mimosa. Okay, so instead of orange juice, you've got pineapple juice. So I've already got that in here. Pineapple juice, you pour in your Prosecco or champagne, either one. Malibu rum. Yes.
Yummy.
Nice. It's so good. It's so good. We're going to have a good time. And then to make it extra fancy, you need a splash of grenadine because look at how pretty this is going to look.
That is a bougie drink. That sounds good, though.
I know, right?
Oh, look how pretty. It makes it like...
Isn't that pretty?
It is pretty.
Hawaiian mimosa. I like it.
Hawaiian mimosa.
I'm going to have to try that.
Hawaiian mimosa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound pretty
good. It's one of my favorites.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Erica. Yeah. I can't wait to... I have an exciting beverage for our next podcast. So you're going to love it. Let's dive into our lovely podcast here with my friend Joshua. So before we tell your tale, Joshua, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, your nursing background, history, how long you've been a nurse, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so background is I'm actually, I tell everybody I'm a singer-songwriter first, but I've been doing that my entire life. Was in the Army. When I got back from Afghanistan, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And so I went to nursing school and went and got my BSN and became an RN, and, all while still playing music. And I've worked in every sort of capacity in nursing that you could possibly think of, from critical care to med-surg tele to psych to travel, everything. So I've done it all. And so now I work per diem, part-time, because, I'm able to focus more on the musical side of my life, which, being an RN is a blessing because you have so much flexibility to kind of do whatever you want to do. If you want to work, per diem, if you want to go travel, if you want to go do this or that, as long as, you keep your license and, good standing and things like that. So I've been an RN for about 6 years, I want to say.
You know what? This is perfect. This is going to segue into how I met Joshua. I think that's how we need to start this tale.
That's right.
Let's let Joshua tell, and then I'll add to it if he forgets something.
How you and I first met?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you, I was working at a facility.
Uh-huh.
And I went on a lunch break, and while I was on lunch, I took a selfie, and I uploaded it to Nurses with Cards. I think is the name of the site. It was, Nurses with Cards, and anyway, it went viral. Everybody's male nurses, da 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 da, blah 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 blah, and so it got so much attention that someone actually blew up the photo where it was like super pixelated. And I was going through orientation at the time, and in the background you could see like the logo for the healthcare corporation of where I worked, and anyway, so the next day comes around. I'm back in orientation or whatever, and I get called into HR, and they're like, "Did you take a selfie and upload it to some social media platform?" I said, "Yeah." Like there wasn't anything bad or anything. I was making some dumb face. I think like a duck face, like something like that. And
No, you were not. You were doing some sexy, sultry look. Don't
yeah,
even.
it was
There was
whatever.
no
Yeah, it
duck
was.
face involved. He was all about, look at me, I look good
I
while
was
I'm at
looking
work.
mystique. It was
Yeah,
mystique.
yes, mystique. Yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly
blue
what it
steel.
was. But okay,
And so anyway, so they blow up this picture, and it shows the health, it shows the logo. So they call me into HR, and they say, all right, well, there's nothing wrong with this, just don't do it again, blah 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 blah, go back to the floor. I said, okay. So then I go back to the floor. Then at the end of the day, they call me back into HR, and they're like, well, we submitted what we thought was appropriate, course of action. Uh, but unfortunately, corporate turned it down, and they want us to terminate you for unauthorized use of logo or whatever. And it was some bullshit. And
unauthorized use of logo.
yeah,
That sounds so
it was like the biggest crock of shit I ever heard. And so anyway, so then I go back onto Nurses with Cards, and I'm like, look, whichever one of y'all, I didn't say mofos, but I was thinking it. I was like, whichever one of y'all crazy bitches done took this photo and done sent it to my work, I'm now out of a job, blah, blah, blah. That went even more viral. And so everybody and their mama went to like reaching, yeah, like reaching out and all this other stuff. And so that's when I met Jessica, and Jessica was doing had her YouTube channel going, and she was like, hey, this would be a great story. And so I was like, all right, cool, let's get on and talk about it, whatever, because Jessica, she had some followers and things like that, and she was really starting to really make a good name for herself. And I was like, yeah, cool, I'd be happy to be on your show.
Well, I don't know if it was a good name, but I was I was making a name.
It was definitely a name.
Yeah, I was making a name, all right.
And so anyway, so I got onto the show, and then that show like took off even more crazy. And like everybody was sharing that video of our interview, and it became like the nursing story of the year. It was like on Reddit. It was like they were talking about the shit in nursing school of like the dangers, and then they create then the word became like a trending word, doxing, which
which a lot of people didn't know that. They didn't know that. Yeah,
because this was 2019, right?
Yeah.
So
okay, wait. So what did you do in your post? Like, did you say anything?
That's the whole thing I was going to say.
No, I didn't say anything.
He's telling a man's version of the story. They leave out details.
Okay.
There's a million other things to the story he has not mentioned here, and thank goodness I know all of them.
Go ahead.
So Joshua had just been hired, on the job. I believe
it was orientation. Yep.
Yes. Okay. I think you kind of glossed over that slightly. But the controversial part of it was that, Joshua, you were on a psych floor, right? And the patient
it was a med psych.
What? Okay, med psych.
So it's like a med surge. It's like a med surge tele.
Like a hybrid.
Floor.
Yeah,
it's a hybrid floor.
When you went to see the patient, they were not the nicest to you. What did they say to you? Which is what you put on the post.
Oh yeah. Oh God, man. I wish I.
It's been so long.
It was like
they were like They were like something about like I went to go do like a mental status
I know exactly what it was. It was
all right, go ahead.
Fuck die. We'll continue to monitor patients.
Continue to monitor. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I went to do like a mental status exam, and I'm like, how you doing? You feeling suicidal, homicidal, had you sleep? And they're like, no. I said, was there anything I can help you with? They're like, yeah, you can go die. And I'm like, all right, I'll try my best. We'll continue to monitor.
Sounds like a regular Tuesday. Put that
in their notes, right? You got to document with flair. It's like
we'll continue to monitor, baby.
So and this was totally innocent. It was just a funny like post for that group, which was a big
Yeah,
group,
it was
Nurses
hilarious.
with Cards.
But
Which
you
was
didn't
based
show the
off of-
patient
No,
or
there was no
share
HIPAA.
like
There was no HIPAA, nothing like
PHI,
no PI,
nothing.
PHI,
Okay.
no HIPAA, no nothing like that. Nothing like that at all.
You
It was
couldn't
just
see your
it
badge
was just
either,
me.
right? You couldn't see your badge.
Nothing.
Okay, so what happened was that somebody got their panties in a wad that was a member of Nurses with Cards, okay?
Yeah.
And come to find out, I think later on we learned who we think this individual was and that they had a
Oh, you
history of
did?
reporting people, but we'll get
Shit,
we'll
man,
get
it's been
into
so long.
I know, I remember all of this, trust me.
See,
So
I try to forget all that.
That picture, first of all, because Joshua is a handsome gentleman, okay, which I like to see that your beard is not as long as it was. I'm digging that. It's a lot, yeah, it's a lot better. Not
Thank
that
you.
you don't look sexy with the long beard, but it's a little cleaner cut. I like Joshua with short hair, but that doesn't go with his whole rock and roll vibe. But we'll
That's
talk
right.
about that here in a little bit. So the post originally, everyone in Nurses with Cards loved it. They were just
Oh yeah,
like,
it was awesome.
yeah, commenting. It was funny, and everybody truly got a kick out of it. They, were just it was just one of those posts that stood out, and people loved it until this one individual did not.
Dang.
For whatever reason, thought it offended this person, to the point of
Triggered.
yeah.
And everybody, like I said, the overwhelming amount of support for me at least. I mean, it was vast. I mean, everybody came to my defense because they all thought it was bullshit. I mean, like you're supposed to have a platform, where you can go vent about,
Right.
the work that we do. I mean, I had never been written up, no reprimand, no nothing. And
well, you were only there
never
for
even
2
had a
days,
verbal
Joshua.
counsel. No, 2 weeks. I was there for 2 weeks.
I'd never been written
Shit,
up
I
in
was
this whole
almost
2
done.
weeks.
Yeah, I was like, man, that's good for me.
I'm a saint.
And
I've been two weeks.
yeah,
I've
I'm
gone.
like, look, I've been keeping my mouth shut for 2 weeks, and then they let me go work on the floor. They call me in. They tell me, all right, everything's good, hunky dory, blah 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 blah, and they say, all right, you can go back to the floor. I go back. They get a whole day of labor out of my ass, and then right before evening huddle,
that's always how they do it. That's always how they do it.
They call me back down and are like, yeah, we submitted it to corporate, and they decided to terminate you. And then lo and behold, somehow mysteriously, the whole damn hospital shut down 2 months later.
Yeah, they did. I forgot about that.
What was the logo on that they could see in the back?
On a wall.
Like a poster or something, or I forget.
Yeah, like a placard.
And you were on your lunch.
Yeah, I was on a break.
But the funny part, which isn't really funny, but the girl blew it up. That's the crazy part. She literally was
awesome.
hunting.
Yeah, they had it on an easel. I'm like, what the shit is this?
Because
that's how crazy.
That's how the girl was able to figure out the hospital. So I guess she forwarded the image blown up.
It was all in Massachusetts.
So they took it to Kinko's before they met with you, and they're we need a 20 by 40 print.
Hey,
I haven't thought of Kinko's in a long time.
I ain't thought of Kinko's in a long time either, but I'm saying, hey.
4 years ago. So do you have any regrets? Do you feel like you did anything wrong?
No. I mean, whenever looking back on it, for a long time, and Jess will tell you too, because, we've had millions of conversations between us, I was embarrassed about it. I didn't
just
want,
because you were terminated, and that's embarrassing.
Well,
right?
But I got kids, that know how to use Google, and so it went so viral. My kids still see the story on Google, and they ask me about it, or especially with the music, they would see all this great stuff about the band, then they'd see this, and so I was embarrassed about it for a long time. But, now that I'm getting a little bit older, and I'm, hopefully getting a little bit more mature in my age,
Are you though? Are you really?
I try to be, but, the thing about it is like, I am an RN. And RNs, we have the upper hand right now. In the grand scheme of work. You know why? Because we can just jump from one hospital to the next if we want to, because everybody's so damn desperate. So I, I've met so many of my coworkers that have never stayed at a facility for more than 2 years. They get a case of the ass, on to the next one.
What does that say about the state of nursing right now, though? That's really,
to be honest,
it's the truth, but it's sad.
In a nutshell, in my opinion, I think we have the upper hand. You know why? Because we can do that. Everybody's so desperate for nurses that I can go leave my job today and go pick up a different hospital job all within the same day, probably with a $15,000 or a $20,000 bonus.
It just seems though nurses are leaving because it's misery, and you jump from one miserable job to another miserable job.
Yeah, the whole thing is miserable.
I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. Can I put on my nurse manager hat for a minute?
Oh God, here comes Erica with the nurse manager hat.
I know.
I hear this nurse manager hat all day long. My wife's a nurse
manager. Can we call you Karen?
Oh,
Karen?
Really?
Yeah.
No, you cannot. All right.
Jeez.
Nurse manager Karen, what is it?
Nurse manager Karen.
First, I'm going to say this was 4 years ago, and so this was not anywhere near as rampant or well known as it is now. I mean, as far as like social media and work for nurses, Absolutely. Right? So you were probably one of the very first incidents of this that became well known.
Absolutely.
Now it happens all the time.
But
I know, because I have been in HR, I have been in those meetings over and over and over again, and you will never win that. Like, I am someone that always tells nurses to fight back, but I tell them in this situation, you will lose 100% of the time, because they have these ironclad social media policies,
Yep.
and so you cannot post anything at work, even if you're on your lunch break, because that's
Absolutely.
Considered theft of company time. Even if you're clocked out, you're on property. God forbid you have something in the background, a badge. Absolutely not. You just literally gave it to them on a silver platter. But I know you didn't know any better, especially back then. Yeah. Right? But this Absolutely. Is something I tell nurses about all the time. Like, there's no wiggle room anymore for that at all.
See, and I agree 100%. Like I learned a lesson, a valuable lesson, that obviously there's no time to take selfies at work. But it's the thing about it is it's complete and total hypocrisy in the nursing world.
Oh yeah.
You know why?
Sure.
Because every single one of your staff nurses, or not every single one of them, but a vast majority of your core nurses, especially the females, go look at their personal social media pages. They have nothing but them wearing G-strings, and now they're Grey's Anatomy. It's a complete double standard for, in my case, and I personally feel as a man, as a straight male, in healthcare, that it's a double standard, because every straight male that I know, like, if you call a girl darling, you call a girl darling, guess what? That's harassment.
Yep, you're in trouble. Yep, you got to be careful. Yep.
Guess what? I'm from right outside New Orleans. That's just how I talk. Hey,
right.
Sweetheart, you need some help over here getting that line in? I'm triggered. Oh.
I'm triggered. I like that. We should make a shirt that says that, Erica. I'm triggered.
Oh, he called me sweetheart. It's a complete double standard. And so then in management, especially, the upper echelons, they are so far removed from what actually goes on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
That they don't know their ass from their fucking elbow.
Nope.
And so they think that, oh, well, while the whole MedSurg tele floor is burning down and everybody is at 9 to 1, we're just going to say heroes work here and pizza party.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're going to fire somebody over a selfie.
So then they wonder why nobody. So then they wonder why nobody wants to work for their sorry ass company.
Well, and here's the other component that never gets talked about that I am so passionate about is, first of all, the public has no conceivable understanding of the abuse that we receive, even just verbally from patients,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
And we need a safe place to be able to vent and process that. And we are
But you
never,
see, that's
ever
what do you think
afforded
triggered
that.
him?
Ever.
That what triggered him to make that selfie was because somebody was rude to him and verbally freaking abused him.
Even if he had not posted that and say, hypothetically, said the same thing at the nurse's station in a mocking way, and the wrong person overheard it, Nurse Karen or a patient's family member, whoever, same thing, right? We are never allotted the opportunity to vent.
Never.
And I am someone that I will lose my if I don't get to vent. I need to just say it out loud and then I can move on. Right. But
I know.
I know you know.
You can't, but you can't.
We're not afforded that ever.
No.
And I mean, let's think about what that person said to you. They told you to F off and die, right? All you were doing was asking them how they're doing, right? You're doing your literal job, and they told you to F off and die. And that's not specific to psych. That happens in every unit, everywhere. That happens in peds. Every single day, we are on the receiving end of such abuse. And so how are we supposed to cope with that if we can never just make light of it or use humor, which, all nurses have dark humor, let's face it, right? Yeah. We need to be able to do that just to cope with the day-to-day atrocities that we're on the receiving end of.
Yeah. No, you preaching to the choir.
What I think in hindsight, remembering this, I remember in the beginning, Joshua, I think he went through different emotions. At first, he was very angry. That was his initial, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I remember him wanting to speak to anybody that would listen, because it was how could I lose my job over something so petty and so minute? But here's where it leads to cancel culture, okay? And this is what I want to say is that once Joshua started getting this attention, the mean pettiness of the world spun it on that he did this to promote his band, okay? Which I mean, really? This is a perfect time to talk about his band, the Bayou Bandits, that are absolutely Bayou Bandits. Oh, not that we're plugging them.
I can honestly say that out of the millions of shows that we've played, across the country, I've never once had a fan that has come to the show specifically because they heard my nursing story. But once they've dug into it, then they're like, oh, so tell me about this.
Do you know that video is still on Facebook getting comments constantly?
Is
it did on Facebook, that video did way better than even.
Wow.
I've had almost 400,000 views, I think, on Facebook on that video. People still, to this day, 4 years later, I'll see that are still commenting on that video.
It was wild.
But here's the thing:
I feel for you more than nurses these days, because now I feel like the information's out there. This is going to happen. There's a high probability if you post something. But 4 years ago, that was not the case.
Well,
it wasn't an everyday occurrence. No,
it wasn't. No. And as the band grew, and as I became more known, it obviously grew along with it, and so it's I've accepted it. I'm a singer in a Southern rock band. There's always going to be people talking shit.
I remember thinking, though, Erica, this was the thing, is that people would keep telling me after the interview I did with him, he's promoting his band. I said, yeah, why not? This horrible thing happened to him.
Yeah.
Can he at least get one tiny positive thing out of it, maybe? If he does, I mean, what's wrong with that? I mean, it's just like me wanting to promote myself and grow, my social media. Why is that frowned upon? But it's because people come out of the woodworks and they're jealous.
When you're known, people come out and cut you, man.
They came after him. I mean, the nurses, I mean, I wouldn't say everybody, but, at first everybody was so supportive, and then it's like they just turned on him. And it was like people were just like, the cancel culture. Somebody decided it was a great idea to start hating on Joshua, so we start getting a bunch of other people on the bandwagon.
Yeah,
and that's what Joshua. You didn't want to talk about it anymore. He
No,
was
I
like,
didn't.
I'm
I didn't
done.
want to talk about it. I was like, dude, I didn't do shit wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so, it was hurtful at first. I'm a human. I have feelings.
Well, we
Yeah.
got to do the
Okay.
middle of the show, Erica, or we're gonna
Okay.
forget about doing our nursing problem of the week. Let's do that quickly and squeeze that in. Go for it.
Okay. So the one I chose this week, a nurse reached out to me and said that she is having some kind of conflict with one of her coworkers, and it's a whole drama that's been going on for a long time. But long story short, she had requested from her manager to simply be scheduled on opposite days as the coworker that she has conflict with. In her mind, that is problem solved, no more conflict. And she could not understand why that was not being granted. And so I want to tell people, because I've heard this come up several times, that's not an appropriate request. I gotta put my manager hat on. I'm sorry. I gotta put my HR hat on for a minute, but I'm gonna tell you that's not reasonable. Because every employee, no matter who is right or wrong, no matter how horrible the other person is, it is a basic expectation of every single employee anywhere, not just nursing, to be able to communicate at a minimal amount with your coworkers, right? And if you can't communicate, you're not fulfilling the most basic things of employee responsibilities and job descriptions. And then the other thing is that inevitably one day there will be some kind of a scheduling nightmare and they won't be able to accommodate that, and they'll have to put you on the same shift. So they're never going to agree to that because they know that one day they won't be able to agree to that. So for those of you out there that have requested this, that think that this is an easy fix, it's not, and it's never going to be granted.
Oh my gosh, I would have loved to have requested that. Can I be with the A team and all my buddies when I've scheduled and all the people that are slow and don't perform well? Could you put them on the opposite days of me? That would have been great.
Just put me on the days with the potluck ladies.
I wonder though if this girl if this individual was being harassed though or something, I think that's a different story, or bullied by another nurse. But if that was the case, they should have done something about that.
There's other
should
avenues
be addressed
that you take. Right.
So
absolutely.
If I can interject my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
please.
just because I was raised a little bit more traditional. That's the problem with the world, in my opinion. And it's damn sure in the hospital, is if you got a problem with somebody, I'm an adult. If I use Jessica as an example, if Jessica did something that pissed me off or, rubbed me the wrong way, I'd say, hey, Jessica, I didn't appreciate this. Please do not do this again. And then me, as an educated, individual that is also on her team, I'd be like, oh, Jessica, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this. It won't happen again. And then it's done.
Yeah,
but
you squash
the
it.
problem is you have people that are so, I don't even know the word, soft, if you will, that they're not able to have that type of sensitive, yes, exactly, able to have that type of conversation, because that would rid the world of half the damn problems. If I did something unintentionally that pissed somebody off on my unit, grow a pair and come to me and say, Josh, that really bothered me. Don't do that again, please.
Z-Dog, that was a big deal. Let's talk about that real quick. Back to when
Z-Dog talked about what happened to you. That's how you know it was so big, right?
So
yes.
So Z-Dog, super awesome dude, super nice guy, and
love him.
He is 100% for the nurses.
Yes.
He
used to work in my hospital.
Oh, really? Yeah, he'll even tell you, he couldn't even do his job without nurses, And he's just a phenomenal dude. So he reached out to me and wanted to cover the story. Like I said,
and his take on it was, how dare that nurse, whoever it was that reported you, how miserable they must be in their life,
right?
And that person should in fact be terminated, not you.
But that's the thing, is like, it all goes back to even outside of nursing. like for instance, people see, how well Jessica has done in her, channels and, her social media and things like that. People see how well I've done with music, or like they'll see me, in this state or that state. And the more that you grow, and are known, publicly, the more people will try to do anything and everything to cut you down. And
Yes.
Yep.
like I've heard so many bizarre ass rumors about myself, just from people that I've never even heard of in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Me too.
because they see me here, they see me there, and they're like, oh, what can I say about Joshua Strickland today? What can I say about Jessica Seitz today? Oh, for a long time, me and Jessica Seitz were allegedly having an affair.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
I missed that.
We were.
I missed that.
They were like,
Wow.
he's probably doing her. He's
It's
doing her.
it's and unfortunately, it just so happens that due to our profession, which is, I hate to be biased, but I just call a spade. It's 99% dominated by women.
Yeah.
It is.
All you hear is gossip. Gossip.
Yes.
Who's sleeping with this
Often,
transporter?
yeah.
Who's sleeping with the doctor? Who's sleeping with the
It's
resident?
always the
Who's-
transporter.
Who's
It is.
who's hitting on this person? Who's hitting on that person? And half the time it's all bullshit. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
so whenever you have a combo of both of those,
Mm-hmm.
publicity on from what you do over here, and then what you do over here that's already catty as hell, you're always talked about.
Yep.
That's why I don't.
And you
care
get
anymore.
you get one person that doesn't like you, and they get a gang of people to surround
Yep.
them.
Yep.
Forget
Yep.
about it. It spreads like wildfire, and then the next person thinks,
Yep.
"Oh, I probably shouldn't like him too, or I shouldn't like her,
Yeah.
because so and so
Yeah.
said I
So-
shouldn't." And people are easily persuaded, and they don't even know you. They don't even know you. It's
So,
truly
yeah.
sad. It really is. Tell us about your rock
Yeah.
band, Joshua. Tell us about what I mean. I know what kind of music it is, but for people that don't know, like, what would you say the
It's,
Bayou Bandits? What is your?
Southern rock? So we're a Southern rock band. I mean, we're an indie band, so everything we have, we made it ourselves, and we've been blessed to be able to play the stage with some of the top acts in the nation. For instance,
Who have you met? What kind
we're
of
playing,
famous people have you met, Joshua? Anybody like in country music that I would recognize?
Jessica Seitz.
Oh, I love her. Oh, and her red
I
lipstick is
love
so
her.
amazing.
God,
Oh my
I love her.
god! Like, have you seen like Blake
let's see,
Shelton
we've-
or anybody? Or I don't know. I'm thinking of like.
So we've I've directly supported Jared Neiman, David Nail, Steel Panther, LA Guns. I'm playing with Struggle Jennings in about 2 weeks. Claudia Hosier, the Steelwoods. That was about 2 weeks ago. So just all
That's
kinds of
awesome.
people.
That's got to be fun.
Are you the singer?
I
Guitar?
just stand there and look pretty. Try to.
He says F off and die. We'll
Yeah.
continue
Yeah.
to
We'll
monitor.
continue to monitor. No, I'm the singer. I'm a singer. I play guitar and I play harmonica.
Okay. You need a shirt that says and die.
I have
We'll
a shirt that
continue
says-
to monitor.
I have a shirt that says "Fragile Frontman."
I like that.
Yeah.
He is
And
very
so-
talented, and I love his accent. It's so freaking cute.
Where can they
I-
find you and your band?
Oh
Everywhere.
yeah, tell them.
Google Google
Google.
the Bayou Bandits, and it'll be.
Okay.
We're on every streaming platform, everywhere.
Okay.
Spotify.
www.thebayoubandits.com, Spotify, Apple, iTunes.
Spell it for them, because some people
Yeah, people say-
BAYOU.
Yeah, BAYOU. It ain't Bayou, it's Bayou, because I'm from the Bayou country.
Why do you sound like Elvis?
True story,
Get
true
over
story.
here, Priscilla.
True story. So if people
Make me
look
a
hard enough,
sandwich.
if people look hard enough on YouTube, you'll see 13, 14-year-old Josh dressed up as Elvis, dancing like Elvis.
Oh.
Yeah, because everybody
I
used to call
want to
me.
see
What?
that.
Everybody used to call me Little Elvis.
You
And
look
so-
like Elvis a little
yeah,
bit. Like
so
I,
like when
I
I had
see
short
it.
hair and no beard, and because I have green eyes, so they used to always call me Elvis, and they say I sound like Elvis. But
You do.
Elvis is my favorite
Elvis.
singer in the world.
Oh
I
my
love
God! What a
Elvis.
talent!
Yeah,
What
I know
a
Such an
every
what
Elvis
a
Elvis
fan.
singer. I know every Elvis song ever made. I can sing
too.
Elvis.
When are we gonna get our own performance of you doing Elvis?
Let's see.
Can you do
Too
Suspicious
hard,
Minds?
that's true.
That's my favorite.
Oh,
We're
Suspicious
Suspicious
caught in a
Minds.
trap.
Yes.
Bo, 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 bo. I can't walk
Can't
out
walk out.
because I love you too. All right, you got to do the backup.
That's so good, Joshua. Let's talk about the Code Brown Award of the week.
Good Code Brown Award of the week. So some of you may have heard recently, I have been covering the story of Sybil Garbo, the 72-year-old African-American nurse that is now serving 6 months in prison for defending herself against her coworker, Devlin Stitt, the white nurse. Devlin assaulted Sybil twice, and only then did Sybil fight back and hit Devlin with the can of disinfectant that was in her hand one time and ran off. And nothing happened to Devlin Stitt, but Sybil has lost her nurse or will lose her nursing license likely. She's serving 6 months in prison. She has to pay over $51,000 in restitution. And she's going to be on probation for 5 years. And so this week's Code Brown Award goes to Devlin Stitt.
Yeah, bitch.
That's right.
Yeah, Devlin.
That's
not.
right.
I would have whacked her with the disinfectant can
I'd
too.
have picked up whatever I could in my hand and within my reach and beat the shit out of her with it.
Somebody said she should have picked up a chair like in the Montgomery Brawl.
Hey, let me put that out there. If I was a girl, because men are not supposed to hit women, but if she attacked me and with something, I don't care what it is at that point. I'm gonna just pick it up and beat the shit out of her with it.
Yeah,
I don't.
It was self-defense. And
do y'all know about the Montgomery Brawl? Y'all didn't heard about that?
Oh yeah, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That was
the
crazy.
funniest part, that man with the chair. He just picked up the chair, started whacking that woman over the head.
But
hey, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, and on a more serious note, like that's the type of stories you hear about, or like that. Or like that one gal, I think, was that in Vandy?
Oh, Redonda.
Yeah.
My close personal friend.
Yeah, that's the type of shit that makes you want to give up your license. Like, why do you want to be a part of this? You know what I'm saying?
That scared the all of us, I can tell you that.
Every nurse. Every nurse.
Yeah.
Like,
Jessica and I were there for her sentencing.
Yeah, it's like you already have a set of laws that you have to follow. From the police and the state or whatever. Now you have another set of laws that you have to follow by the state board, who's just willing to who they don't know what goes on the floor. But they're quick to come,
especially in Tennessee. Oh my God, they are
quick
oldest, and 1 foot in the grave.
They what do they say in nursing school? They're operating in utopia, in the perfect hospital, in the perfect setting. Blah, 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 blah. But yet they're the first ones to come hem somebody up for having a water bottle at the nurse's station after this person just had to work a 16-hour shift 3 days in a row. Like, that's where I get heated. Because it's like, where does common sense
come? That's ridiculous.
Me too.
Absolutely ridiculous. Well, Joshua, thank you for coming on our podcast today.
It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure hanging with y'all.
And you can find us too, nursesuncorked.com, everywhere, all of our Instagram, Facebook,
Spotify,
TikTok, Nurses Uncorked.
Google, Apple, Podbean,
send us your nursing problem.
And please rate us.
Send us a message.
Give us a rating and subscribe to us on your streaming platform of choice.
We'd really appreciate it.
2 thumbs way up.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua. Joshua, you better give us a thumbs up on Spotify.
Oh,
I'm gonna go listen to some of your music. You're so sweet.
5-star. Rotten Tomatoes, 100% on the podcast.
Till next time.